Yes, no, the number of panels and the number of. Okay. Should also. Okay, so good morning and welcome everyone again. My name is Polo Midatta and I'm part of the American Chemical Society's local section, Brazosport. I'm honored to serve as the chair this year. And this event today is in collaboration of Brazosport ACS and Dow's WIN. So a little bit intro about Brazosport ACS. We were established in 1959, so we have been serving the community for over 65 years. We are a community where it's a volunteer-led community, so we have a lot of industry professionals who serve on this organization for decades. So we are largely represented by industry professionals, and our aim is to serve the community in areas of STEM, sustainability, and professional development. With us today is also our counterparts from Dow's Employee Resource Group, WIN. So WIN, which is Women Inclusion Network, is an organization within Dow that advocates and promotes equality and diversity. This is an organization that promotes professionals within Dow, and we also organize a lot of internal as well as external events to help the local community. So with that, we would like to start this discussion event. And this event, as I mentioned, is in collaboration with ACS and WIN in today's fast-paced environment where the professional landscape is changing so much. It is our ability to effectively promote ourselves is very crucial. So whether we are just in the start of our career or we are mid-career and trying to look for next opportunities within our current organization or a new organization, understanding how to showcase our skills and understanding what we can achieve through promoting ourselves is really important. We are fortunate to have with us today a diverse and distinguished panel of experts. We have 5 panelists in today whom I'll introduce in a little bit, but they bring for us a wealth of knowledge and experience in various fields. They will share their insights, strategies, and personal experiences on how to navigate professional growth and self-promotion effectively. So our panelists include Bindu Krishnan here. Bindu is an R&D and TS&D fellow in polyurethane business, responsible for strategy and technology development of adhesives, sealants for construction, infrastructure, and mobility market. She is recipient of numerous prestigious awards, including AICH's Industrial Progress Award, ACS's the Cermax Industrial Innovation Award, and the Edison Award for Excellence in New Product Development. Our second panelist today is Carla Schmid. Carla is the Senior Technology Manager in Fundamental Problem Solving Group of the TES Tech Center and is responsible for leading teams to solve some of Dow's most challenging problems in manufacturing. She has a passion for teaching the FPS methods for problem solving in various formats globally and leads the Tech Center Award Review Team and the Tech Center or SEED Award Administration Team. Carla is serving on the board of the Brazosport section of ACS as a director and has been volunteering with ACS for over 20 years. Thank you, Carla.
That's the decade she was.
Our next panelist here is Carolyn Prebice. Carolyn is the business analytical leader for industrial intermediates and infrastructure in Dow and is based in Netherlands. So we are really lucky and fortunate to have her in person today. So thank you, Carolyn. She has co-chaired the IUPAC Award for Distinguished Women in Chemistry and Chemical Engineering from 2013 to 2019. And has held multiple roles on the IUP's Committee on Chemistry and Industry. She has been a volunteer leader in the ACS for 3 decades and has chaired multiple society committees, served in roles in local sections and the analytical division, and is currently on the ACS Board of Directors. She received the 2021 PRISM Award from Society of Women Engineers, the 2019 Award for Volunteer Service to the ACS, and was named a 2011 IUPAC Distinguished Women in Chemistry or Chemical Engineering, and is also a Fellow of the American Chemical Society. Our next panelist is Ida Chen. Ida is R&D TS&D Fellow in Dow Industrial Solutions. She has commercialized more than 20 innovation products in various market segments and commercialized the novel reductive animation catalyst for Dow amine plant in 2024. Currently, as a fellow, she is leading IINI award steering team to write award nomination packages, championing both technology and individual award nomination. Our final speaker is Mary. Mary is currently the market development plant production leader in polyurethanes process R&D. She provides technical and administrative leadership to market development plant organization to ensure safe, reliable, and efficient operations. She represents Dow on Society of Women Engineers Corporate Partnership Council and is an active volunteer of SWE Houston section. So thank you to all our panelists. This is a unique opportunity for us to learn from the best and to gain practical advice that we can all apply to our career journey. I would also like this opportunity to introduce the host for our discussion, panel discussion today. They're John O'Brien and Nelly Louis-Pakis. John has been with ACS local section for a long time. We all love how he helps us organize these events, and he's currently the counselor for the local section. Nelly has been deeply involved with WIN over the years and represents the WIN's external engagement team today. So without any further of you listening to me, I would like to welcome our panelists and dive into the discussion. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Bindu, Carla, MK, Carolyn, and Ida. Thank you.
Good morning, party people. Like Jenny said, I'm trying to keep this very interactive. We have some key questions kind of that we have preset, but we want interaction with this team. You know, we want to keep it natural. If you have a question, raise your hand. And we do have our cell phones, so if there's questions online, we will repeat it to the panelists. You know, we're here to make it informative, make it fun, make it educational for everybody. So your interaction and presence here is very much appreciated. So I was going to start us off real quick with our first question on here. You know, I think keeping maybe some pearls of wisdom that you would share with, based on visibility or self-promotion that you've learned throughout the years. I mean, we kind of want to give everyone an introduction at this point to kind of take a shot. So we'll start with you, Carolyn. So
visibility. You own your visibility. It's not up to your leader. It's not up to somebody else. It's up to you to make sure that you're being visible for what you want to be visible for. And that's true throughout your career. You get to set the narrative and you get to share it. You get to decide where you share it. I'll stop there and let everybody build.
So it's your work that needs to count because you're working for a chemical company. At the end of the day, it's the revenue that you make and how you make. So that's key. So the other things should follow what you do.
Yeah, I think it's something that you build over time. So that's something that I have found, it's something I think that is great about Dow is that people do keep in touch with each other over time. And so that's something you should definitely be deliberate about, but it's something, as you go on in your career, I'm always surprised by how many times that they're like, oh yeah, you need to reach out to this person on the project. This person, I worked with them, 3 jobs ago when they were doing something completely different and I was doing something completely different. So definitely understand that everything that you're doing, what you're doing now, the people that you're working with now, they build your network and build your visibility over time as you move in the organization or in your career. So it's a constant work in progress. It's never just like, oh yeah, I know these people and that's it. Like you're always adding to that network.
I would say you're visible whether you know it or not. If you're a personality type that tries to hide, people still see that and they still talk about that. He or she's trying to hide, they're trying to keep their head low and stay out of the limelight and stuff. And so you might as well step into it, lean into it, and manage that visibility to your benefit.
So in my opinion, visibility can be a key to success. But meanwhile, visibility is also like a double-edged sword. So we want to make sure we have good visibility.
Great, thank you.
Yes, thank you, very nice. So then, how would you differentiate visibility and self-promotion? And maybe Bindu, we can start with you this time.
Sure, thank you. Thought about it. So let me start with self-promotion, right? And then we'll go slowly to visibility because both of those things are interlinked with each other. So, and Ida touched on it, it's a double-edged sword. So when you're going and self-promoting, think about why you're doing that. Typically, it should come, it should follow you. Don't follow visibility. At least that is what I have followed in life. What's what I tell my mentors is don't run after it. Let it follow you, let it come. When it comes to self-promotion, let somebody else talk about you. Give them the tool set to do that. And then eventually visibility will come your way.
I can add a comment as an example. So I sat down here next to Bindu, and when my introduction was started, she go, "Oh, you're MK." And so I was like, "Oh, what a great example of visibility," because I'm involved with Suite, and so she's seen my name, but I've never, yeah. So, but we have maybe hadn't met, in person, and so that's, one example of something where I didn't, call somebody or promote myself. So that's, maybe a visibility thing where, to Carlos' point, right? People, you're visible, even if you don't know that you're visible, you don't know that people know you. But I think that there is a point to self-promotion. So you don't want to be, it's always, a double-edged sword, a balance between, you're not trying to get people to know you just to know you, but that's not to say that you can't reach out to people to say, like, "Hey, Carolyn, I saw you won a SWE award a couple years ago, and I'm really interested in applying for a SWE award myself. Can you'll help tell me how your process went about it?" And sometimes doing that, having a delivery. So I'm not calling Carolyn because I'm like, "Oh, I'm so great, I should win a SWE award." I'm calling Carolyn because I'm like, "Hey, like, I want to learn from you." And so that's an example of a way that you can reach out to somebody and help that. But that also increases your visibility, right? Because now Carolyn knows who I am because I called her and I talked to her about SWE awards. So, you can do, it's about approaching people with, with a purpose to that interaction, right? That's not just like, let me tell you about how great I am, but it's a purpose of like, hey, let's learn about each other. Sure, I'm interested in learning about you, and you can learn about me. And so having a two-way, a back and forth type of purpose, and that both increases your knowledge is good for you and beneficial, and it also increases your visibility at the same time.
And sometimes it doesn't come naturally, right? You, as introverts, you have a barrier to pass through to get to that. So how do you do those type of things, right? So if you make that connection, keep that connection. Don't let it go.
There's actually a question online about, folks that have, more introverted personalities. What are some of the best practices to speak out and, talk themselves with others? Does anyone on the panel have a sharing to talk about that, of how to navigate, battling that personality versus?
How many of us are introverts? I think there's a cultural piece, there's a personal piece there. How many people in this room say, "I like to self-promote myself"? It's okay if you do. Wow, you should teach me. How many of you are okay saying, like, "I'd like to be more visible"? Okay, so it may be a culture piece, and in an international company where we all come from different cultures, this is something to think about. For me, being an introvert, it's a little easier if I step back and do it in the third person. When I applied for the SWE award, I had to write a 3,000-word essay about my career and how I directed it and all the wonderful things I had done. I can't do that using I throughout 3,000 words. So I stepped back and I wrote it in the third person. And I pretended I was somebody else writing about the career of Carolyn Rebus and what she had done and how it progressed. And for me, that was a lot easier because then I would focus on facts rather than bragging. So that's, and then I would say another piece of it is just get your list of accomplishments down as facts. You're scientists, you're good with data, you're good with facts, you're comfortable sharing those. And so if that's what makes you comfortable doing it, do it that way.
Any other comments from the panel?
I've been reading a book called Building Relationships at Work, and it's kind of like a tutorial on how to network within your own company if you're an introvert. And you know, I can share that information later, but I'm finding it very helpful because it's basically a how-to guide. It says, you know, just put 30 minutes on someone's calendar, have a coffee with them, go to lunch with them, instead of being intimidated by a room full of hundreds of people. Target them one-on-one. It takes a little bit longer, but the relationships are a little bit more genuine and you get more information out of it. And they even go so far as to give you email templates and stuff in the book about what you should say, just to get you over that hump or the barrier for connecting with someone.
And you can talk about what you like, what your passion, your work. And that's how you can start building that trust and relationship with that. And also, you don't have to be every other person that you meet, right? You don't have to build a lifelong relationship with them. Sometime it'll click, sometime it wouldn't. So set that 30 minutes up. And it's a lot more easier as an introvert to set this one-on-one rather than in a group meeting. Like I get lost there's a lot of people, I get lost even now. But if in a one-on-one meeting, I'm totally different.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. I think I saw your hand first.
Yeah, so you're talking about I get fearful of self-promotion, but we tend to like for elevator speeches and stuff, highlight our technical skills, but what about soft skills? It's really hard I just have my performance review, get feedback on positives in those areas, but I can't go, that sounds like bragging, right? Like I'm people, like, you know, so how do you like highlight those accomplishments on the soft skills side? Like what are good ways to do that if you're not working directly with the people, your mentors? Good question.
Any on the panel want to take it?
I think to a certain point, that's also really to your branding. People always talk. So when you interact with the people during your daily life, they also talk about you. Then sooner or later, your mentors, other people will heard about you. So I think as long as we focus, the people that you already interact and show your very nice, very efficient communication, watch out others, help others, then many people will know about you. And I would not worry too much. You go to that person specifically, oh, I'm very good, I'm very nice.
Yeah, not gonna be
Right,
good.
so but people talk. So-
There's an impact of your being able to work with people well, right? You're able to influence them to do things. You're able to bring them on board. Maybe you're good on teams. So you can also think about it from what's the impact of that.
Yeah.
And you can talk about that benefit. Because Dow very much is not just about what, really important what, but also how.
And I think, there's some things that you can use to show things like being involved in WIN or being involved in SWE or another ERG or something like that can kind of be, way to say, hey, you had this leadership or took on this extra thing as a way of showing that. But I think also, soft skills are technical skills. I think there's kind of sometimes a dichotomy, right? But you can talk about how, hey, I led this complex project where I had to manage all these different stakeholders and keep everybody aligned. Or you can talk about, the most, challenging thing was, trying to communicate. We had these two, principals who had very different ideas, and I helped, I coordinated, and got everybody on the same page. And that's a way of explaining, how those skills were directly applicable, to Carolyn's point, were directly applicable and were value added, right? What the impact of those.
Thank you.
Maybe, yes, Deepti?
So I have a question follow-up on into what you mentioned, make versus maintaining connections, right? So we take being introvert, sometimes I struggle in calling people and just setting up that time, which I'm forced to do, but not everyone you are going to click with, right? So how do you maintain or sustain those connections you build with a lot of push from inside that, okay, I'm going to do it, right? But how do you continue and how can you make sure that stays with you as you grow in career, and when can you reconnect and how to plan? Is there a way?
Sometimes it can be as simple as sending a Happy New Year.
Okay.
Can be that simple, right? So I do that. I set up a few hours at the end of the year and I go through my list and I send through texts and messages of people. I'm not a extrovert, I'm an introvert actually. But this is how I meet with people. And then sometimes, and sometimes you forget people too, right? And then suddenly you remember, and it's okay. Just reach out to them. Hi, how are you doing? You have to force yourself to do it.
I find myself doing that when there's somebody pops up who I used to work with before, and then I'll be like, oh, hey, somebody mentioned your name today, and I, remembered how we worked together, it's kind of, and it's not, I maybe haven't talked to them in 2 years, but you just say oh, hey, someone was mentioning this project that you were on, and, it sounded really good. It was good to hear your name again.
And with all the advancement, right, a Teams message, just how you're doing, that's it. And sometimes you catch them at the right time or wrong day or whatever, right? And it'll go in a different direction.
And you'll probably make their day. Right here, who here would not want somebody to come and say, I would love to have lunch with you and learn about what you've done? Or receive that message that said, hey, your name came up and I remembered how much I enjoyed working with you. Who wouldn't want to receive that? Put yourself in their shoes.
So I'm going to take a question from online, and I will give it to MK and Carolyn and whoever else wants to join this. What are some channels for external engagement as a Dow employee? For example, SWE, ACS, et cetera. How do we engage with those organizations? Good mechanisms to do that.
Get started.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of different external organizations, right? There's SWE, there's ACS, there's NSBE, there's SHIFT, there's all sorts of local ones. So I recommend finding out just Google what, SWE Houston or SWE local section, and you can find the website for the organization, get on their email list, and just start showing up to stuff. People all the time ask, how do I get involved? There's just come to things. There's always a need for more volunteers. There's always ways to do things. There's lots of opportunities, and maybe you try a couple of different organizations so you find one that clicks with what your schedule is or what people. You can also find a friend, someone who you already know is involved, and be like, hey, can I come with you to the next thing? Or if you don't know anybody, invite a friend and say hey, I'm nervous to go to this first meeting where I don't know anybody and show up. Will you come with me? And bring somebody with you. And that's a great way to get started. Think about something that aligns with what you're passionate about. So if you're into doing outreach about STEM for high schoolers, look for an organization that does that. If you really want to focus on professional development, look at something that does that. If you want something that's more technical, where there's opportunities to do presentations, there's a little bit of different things depending on the organization, but just look up when their meetings are, get on the list, and start going to things. And if you're nervous about it, find a friend who's already involved, or bring a friend along and drag them with you. So,
and I think every organization needs people to be involved. When every ERG, every external group needs somebody to help be involved to focus on their mission and to deliver that. And you get to think about how you do that in two different ways. So if you come to an ACS local event, somebody may say, hey, do you want to run for office? You may back off and say, wait a minute, this is here my first meeting. I'm not ready to make a 3-year commitment to you yet. But there's also that possibility that there's a little bit of a gig work there, that maybe they're going to say, you know what? You just said you were really interested in education of science for children. We're doing a hands-on event at the library, and we could really use somebody to come out with us Wednesday night. So maybe you get to dip your toe in the water first and decide what discretionary time you have available, where your passion fits, and do that. And don't think you have to be spending 40 hours a week working in a particular organization. Do what makes sense to you. And they will be very happy to have your engagement.
Anyone else on the panel want to give feedback?
Yeah, I will. I will say, we mentioned all the scientific organizations. Of course, there's also other types of volunteer organizations, in the community where we can help out too. But there's nothing like getting involved with a volunteer organization and taking on a project to help you build those soft skills and those leadership skills in a safe place before you have to do it at work, and trying to motivate volunteers is one of the biggest challenges in the world. I'll be honest with you. And so if you can make that work and show that you have that skill, then you'll get that opportunity at work as well. So,
or you'll just do it at work.
Yeah,
you'll have that skill and you'll just start showing it. People will wonder, where did they learn how to do that? It's your superpower.
And it's not just, it's motivating without, whatever, what is it, motivation without like hard power, right? Like if you're a volunteer organization, yeah, I was president of the Sweet Houston area, and like all these people are volunteer. I can't fire anybody, right? Like I can't, like everyone's doing it just cause. So doing that, I also got to like set strategy for the year for the organization. So that was something that, I hadn't thought about. Those really helpful then as I moved into a leadership position and had to start setting strategy for a group or thinking about, what are our biggest volunteer needs? What is our biggest, personnel needs? Like all those types of things were then directly applicable, even though SWE is a not super technical organization. It's a little bit technical, but not as much as maybe some of the ACS or some of the other ones. But you get that experience that then is definitely directly applicable to what you're doing at work.
Any other questions?
So many times we have lots of things on our plate, right? And we're like, okay, where do I fit this in to increase my visibility? And sometimes we're also given opportunities, right? Like, oh, this is a great career opportunity for you, right? I guess, how have you been strategic about which opportunities you choose? And do you have any examples? And can you share opportunities that you said no to and why?
So the first thing I would say is, how much trust do you have in the mentor or the sponsor that's bringing you the opportunity, right? And how well do they really know you? And how well do you really know yourself? Those are key factors, right, in trying to determine whether you take that opportunity or not. Somewhere mid-career, two of my mentors came to me and said, we want you to take a sabbatical and go work in reactive chemicals. I had never even conceived of doing something like that. But they knew me well. They felt like I would need that skill set going forward in my career to understand how reactive chemicals impacts our company. And it was a year-long sabbatical, I believe. And so I dropped everything I was doing and went and did a sabbatical for a year. And it was great. I learned a lot. It got me out of some habits that I had formed in my work that weren't productive anymore. They were good when I started out, 10 years in the company, but weren't going to serve me well in the future. And got me out of those habits, got me some new habits, got me some new contacts, and caused me to start branching out and thinking about the different paths that my career would take. So that's my one successful. Now, I've been asked many times if I want to step into people leadership, and that's where knowing yourself is most important. That is not a role that I really want to do. I'm happy to mentor, I'm happy to coach, I'm happy to help, but I don't want to be the person in charge of performance reviews and budgets and those kinds of things. It's not where my passion lies. So I've always stepped away from that, even though people have told me multiple times I would be good at it. You would be. She's one of the ones that's. But
Nice. I think we had one more question there.
Yeah, we mentioned at the beginning about like self-promoting and the fact that obviously it's a company that's making money and like valuating the work that you're doing. Do you have any advice if like I'm in sustainability R&D, so there's not a value associated directly with what my work is doing yet. Hopefully there will be one day. But like, do you have any advice on how to value the work when there's not like, I saved us this much money by figuring out why the plant was doing X or whatever? Yeah, when you're in a role that's not eccentrically valued. But I guess if that makes sense.
So as a company, whatever you do, there is an impact. So, and that's where you have to be very strategic about finding out what is that you're doing? How is it impacting the company? And so if you are able to draw that line and connect those dots, that should be it.
Do we have sustainability goals as a company?
Yes.
Does the work you're doing align with that? Can you articulate how it helps that goal, even if it's not achieving the capital cost saving goal or the next goal, right? You don't have to contribute to every goal in the company.
Yeah. And then the how part becomes important as well. How are you enabling the company to achieve that goal?
So actually, sustainability, this definition is very broad. Like a safer material, regulation-driven actions, and recyclability, decarbonization, etc. So one way to connect sustainability, what you are doing to the value is under this envelope. Is there any, I don't know which function are you in, but if you
Plastic circularity.
circularity in
Yeah.
R&D.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually for R&D, if we connect some projects with connect sustainability and under this envelope, then you will have individual projects and then measure the project success. And for that, as part of the value realization, etc. So probably can use this way to measure your current effort in the sustainability area.
And for the people in support functions,
Yes.
and I've always been in that as an analytical person, right? Analytical does not have profit and loss for this company. But we enable, I will say we enable all the profit and the loss for this company. So you need to be able to say where you contributed to it and what was your role on that project and what was the result of that project, even if you can't draw that straight line to that dollar sign, right? The businesses get to claim the profit and loss, but everybody contributes to it and they know that, right? They want to help you. They can help you frame that in an appropriate way.
So maybe another question from Teams, from the chat. I feel like a lot of folks have trouble with extracting the value or key skills that their experiences lend them when talking about their accomplishments. For example, connecting it to the larger picture. So what advice would you give to learn this to be able to better advocate for themselves? So in other words, how to tailor your accomplishments?
Actually, end of last year, I do have many mentees. They come and review their accomplishments, and many of them actually focus on what they have done during the year, rather than talking about the value. I think that this is a very fair question. So one way is also go to your leader or go to your mentor, for your business, for your group, who potentially can see the whole picture and can tell you, okay, this is a value. Then by that way to, share additional information that probably you did not see that, but your leaders, your mentors, sponsors probably see the whole picture, can provide additional information to you. So that's potentially one way to address that. And we don't also have a different metrics like NPV for some innovation project, some PO, some information from marketing or sales. Potentially they can share that information as well. And your network, for example, in manufacturing, and sometimes they also calculate how much energy is saving due to your efforts about the process improvements, etc. So those network can also help you to provide that information.
I think it's important to do it as you go along. I think we also mentioned a little bit earlier, keep a running list, because it's really hard, 5 years later to remember like, oh, like what was like the value of that, project again, or like what was it that I did? And it can all be things it's not just, the projects you work on, but it's also your external engagements. Oh, like I volunteered on this, I was on this committee, or I organized this WIN event, or, those types of things. Keep a running list, because then depending on, things later, you can help use that depending on what skill set you want to emphasize. You can pull on that past experience. And I think that doing awards is sometimes a way, like applying for awards is a way to put for something it's harder, that you can't just put a number on, but you can say, okay, but I like filled out this explanation and explained the whole thing, and I got recognized with this award, whether it's an internal award or an external award, can be a way to kind of put a like, hey, this was, other people saw that this was valuable. I saw that this is valuable. So that can be a way of putting like a hard value to it as well. But I agree that with what I just said, that talking to your leader or your mentor to be like, hey, help me put this in context. And also, if you have that running list, you can look at, okay, what are some like similarities? What are some running themes of where I've had successes? What were the things that enabled? What were the skills? I don't want to talk too much about, because I don't know the details, but I know that the Workday is coming out with a new skills-based framework. So they're trying to put a lot more information about that you can also go in and try to start referencing and say, okay, so like I worked on this project, but like what skill was that I was really developing, or that I was using to help kind of match that things that you did to skills that you have. Because a lot of times, right, I've worked in, I was in engineering and then I was in manufacturing and now I'm in R&D, you work in different functions and you say all those are different, but the skills that I built, even though what I was doing, the actual activity was maybe different, the skills definitely, carry over. And those skills that I've gotten working in external organizations doing volunteer, those, even though again, the work isn't the same, but the skills are the same and they're applicable.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? So, within the context of that, how would you apply that within kind of an external package process? Do you have any feedback on that?
For looking at an external package, yeah, so I think, I'm most familiar with SWE awards. I haven't done as many other awards, but most awards I think will define kind of what they're looking for, what the awards criteria are. So that's when it's really nice if you have your already kind of running list, your already kind of resume that you've kept, up to date as you change roles. You can go look and say, okay, they say they're focused on, mentorship and they're focused on, technical accomplishments. And so like where in this list of things, what are the top 5 things that I can talk about to demonstrate that I had this skill or that I did this activity.
And even better, take that top 5 list of accomplishments and the impact it had. And you always have to get nominating letters and seconding letters. Give that list to the person who has to write the letter. Boy, that'll make it easier for them, right? You've told them what you've done, not just the position you had, but what came of that. And that will help them make a much stronger impact focused on the merits of the award.
Ida, I have a question for you, because you touched on this on your last comments. Can you give a little bit more on the importance of networking and the role of leaders, sponsors, and mentors, and how to approach them?
You mean for the awards or is
Importance of networking and getting, networking within leaders, sponsors, mentors in general.
yes.
No.
Right. So actually inside of DAO, we have a lot of very good programs that help us that have some mentoring. For example, for Triple I, we assigned a fellow mentor to the employee. And also there is a 1+5, I think it's still called that name. And also help our employee, I think right now, not only female, but also male employee to reach out different leaders and mentors, and based on the conversation, if there's any, very good chemistry there, then can set up regular meetings. So actually a lot of very good program like S2S, etc. So that one already set up the mechanism. But meanwhile, I think for each of us, we can also initiate some, just now we talk about how to reach out to people. And I think our leaders here share a lot of very good practice. Another note is sometimes to keep a very long-term good relationship, it would be good to find some common interest. What does that mean? It could be personal, maybe kids. It could also be at work, for example, certain project or certain area. For example, I have a regular meeting with a technology center leader and actually in hydrocarbon. I personally sit in Triple I, EIS, but we work on the energy area. And then every time I go to that leader and in the energy department and then talk about the energy decarbonization activity. So that's actually to find a common topic that we can keep the conversation. So also think about what you are doing, what are your projects. Then based on that, in certain area, identify some people that you think could be your mentor, and then just go there initially, maybe talk about your project. Then later on, if the conversation go very well, then try to ask if we can set up long-term, meetings and then become your mentor or sponsor, etc. So.
Thank you. And Bindu, I want your opinion on that, but I want to follow up with that as well. Like, how would you differentiate a mentor and a sponsor during this process?
Before I go there, I want to ask all of you a question. Who likes to listen to stories? All of us, right? So, and each one of us, we have a story. That's the easiest way to connect with anyone. If you go there, we talk about elevator speech, right? What do you say in that? Oh, I'm so and so. This is what I do, right? Nobody cares. I'm serious. Nobody cares. We are all being asked, have your elevator speech ready. But you walk off, they don't remember you. You want them to remember you. So the best way is to have your story. And it's okay. You can have a 2 minute full story of something, right? They'll remember you. Going about mentors and sponsors and coaches too, right? So my saying about I have a saying related to that is a coach talks to you. They'll tell you what to do, right? A mentor talks with you, and a sponsor talks about you. So those are the three differences.
The sponsors of the room when the decision's made.
Yes. And you go seek a coach, a mentor, and you find each other, and a sponsor finds you. You don't go find a sponsor. So those are the main differences between a coach, mentor, and a sponsor. And what was your question?
You answered it.
Yeah.
That was it? Okay.
You answered. And I think the last
So
kind
if
of,
you would have told in the form of a story, I would have remembered.
yeah.
I feel the follow-up question is how to make sponsor fund us.
Yeah.
Probably.
But
Yeah, in my opinion is do your great work and keep doing your great work, and sooner or later your leader recognize you, your, up level leaders, fellows, or those recognize you, then they will fund you. That's also another way to enhance visibility. It's not always set up meetings. Do your great work, deliver very solid, excellent work, then people will see that. That's another very natural way, very effective way to enhance your visibility.
So let me tell you a story about that.
Yes. Yes.
25 years ago, the analytical sciences director told me, Carolyn, you're one of the best kept secrets in analytical. You don't want to be a best kept secret. Okay, that should not be your goal. That was a wake up call. He was being complimentary, but he was really telling me, you need to think about this differently. So yes, your work is important, but you also need to make it visible and relatable to people.
And Carla said that in the beginning, right? You can't hide. Everybody's watching you. Even when your eyes are shut, people are watching you, right? But it takes energy for that other person to go promote you. So give them the tools to help them with that.
I wanted to do a follow-up on that story. So what did you do after you found out you were best kept secret?
That's when I realized I needed to own my visibility.
Do.
That's when I realized I needed to own my visibility and think about, if I wanted certain things to happen, who should I be talking to about that? Right? The first time I wrote an EDP, I said that I wanted to work on a global project and something international. And so my leader said, thank you very much, and put it in a folder. Then I thought about, well, who's really making the decisions about who's doing those projects? And I went and spoke to that person. Didn't, blindside my leader, but I really thought about who's making the call, who's getting involved, when do I speak up? And that helped because that's how I got to go work in Argentina for a year, and that's how I got transferred to Tunusin. So it worked.
I mean, does anyone else have more comments on best practices for networking? Because I think that's kind of all within tied with this kind of question segment. How do you find that right person? Does anyone have any experiences of, making those connections and kind of getting that aha moment?
So I think, we've talked a lot about like reaching out to people. So some of it is reaching out. So having your EDP, knowing what it is you want and finding, okay, who's the person who has the job that I want next or that I'm interested in, and reaching out. And I've never had anybody. It's always a little scary. Even I'm an extrovert, and even for me as an extrovert, it's sometimes scary, like cold calling people. But I've never had anybody in doubt be like, no, how dare you talk to me? Like everyone's like, oh yeah, great, I would love to talk to you, right? And so I think some of it is that, but some of it is also to the point of doing your work, but knowing people, and it's not just, you can't just do your work in your department where only your boss sees what you do, right? Some of doing the work is like trying to get asking, hey, can I get assigned in a different group or an area that I'm interested in? Or you have to let people know that you want it, right? Or that you're interested in it. Because they might be like, oh yeah, she's just like happy doing this in this group. But you have to say like, no, hey, I want to learn more about, sustainability, or I want to learn more about, I'm interested in people leadership. I want to get exposure to those types of opportunities. Because when people know that you're looking, then they'll start to do some of that. And some of it is also over time. It's also doing things like, oh, hey, like, I worked on putting together this one panel. And so I met these lovely ladies here who are on the panel with me. And so now I know them and we have a common interest, right? To Ida's point is it doesn't have to be, it can be a technical common interest, but it can also be something in an organization, a way to start building that connections. And so people see your work, oh, like they did a great job organizing this event, or they had great things to say on this panel, or something like that. And that starts to build those kind of networks. So some networking is organic. It's not always cold calling someone, which I think is what people think. Oh, I can't cold call people. I can't network. And it's not that. It's about doing, what you're doing and talking to people. And a lot of times the cold calling people, like I said, is I try to think about it approaching someone with an ask, not just like, hey, can I talk to you? It's like, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing and want to learn more. Or, having a specific kind of question to reach out to initially is very helpful. And everybody, I think people at Dow all want to help each other. And it's also flattering to be asked about your expertise. So people are definitely usually willing to listen to you if you reach out in that way. And then, like I said, over time, build your network and things happen, right? So if you start, an example, I use from networking. So Fernando Signorini is the executive sponsor of SWE. So I've been working with SWE for several years. And as I've worked with SWE, he's also worked and he's like grown in his like executive level. So he started out high, but now I was like, oh, like I have like a one-on-one with like the site leader of the plant just because like I know him through SWE, right? So sometimes knowing people through those other things, as you progress in your career, they're going to progress in their career too, right? So that helps build in terms of building sponsorship, right? Is it's not, always don't start at the top, maybe, start somewhere. And then as your career progresses, their career progresses, and they can be in that position to be the person in the room.
It's just a quick plug for the cold call, right? So you guys referenced kind of the skill-based opportunities, or you can align skills now in Workday to what you do. And then that also feeds into Career Hub. And if you go into Career Hub and you explore Career Hub based on some of those inputs that you have put there, you are going to get a list of people that have said, hey, I would like to mentor. I would like to connect with others. And it's from what I've seen, it is a list that you typically would not have expected, right? And it's people that you've never heard of before. And so that's a great way to be like, send them an email or schedule time on their calendar and say, hey, I was in Career Hub. It looks like some things align. I found your name when I went through the process. Can we have 30 minutes to chat? And so that gets over that or finds that common interest type of thing, right? And gets over that cold call type situation.
Yeah, I've been practicing that technique for 6 years now with building my network, and I did it based on interest. I was a plant engineer. I was interested in the safety, and I didn't start with people I was kind of scared to meet, right? I started with my peers, and I went on LinkedIn and just went process safety down and got this whole before Workday. So LinkedIn is another great tool also to help you start building that queue of people that you want to meet and introduce yourself to, but also learn more about them and their career and how they got to where they are.
You can also ask for help. So 10 years ago, in one of my reviews, I was told everybody in PU knows you. You're doing a great job. If you step out of PU, nobody knows you. So you're going to be stuck. It's like, okay, what do I do? So they told me that you have to network. Folks have to know you. I was like, I'm not doing that. And my leader said, it's important. People need to know your work. People need to know your value. So I asked him, can you help me? And he said, yes. So he helped make me the connection, he gave me the names. And I was like, okay, I'll just set up a meeting. What do I go tell them? Like, I work in PU, this and this. Talk anything, right? That's where I learned the story tactic. And sometimes it's just talking about how awesome, my office is or something, anything, right? Or where I grew up in India or whatever, right? I grew up with those stories and then once you build that network, once you start that initial conversation, they will help you to build that network as well. Because you can be honest about why you're connecting with them. So that's the other thing. When I started meeting with other people, I told them this is the reason why I'm connecting so that people get to know me outside of the PU business. And this is what I am. And then they help me. And WIN was a great organization. That was my first ERG that I joined. And it actually changed. So I would say connect, join some ERG groups. That will also help you a lot because we as human being also tries to connect we look for similarities, right? And so that's where I found my home, I would say. I found these women working like me, was having the similar struggles. So we could talk same things. And then we build the network as well.
And it happens over time as you work with people too, right? So like somebody I worked with when I was on the RISE, what was NPN at the time, the RISE steering team, my first couple years of work now is a peer leader at the manufacturing facility that correlates to my facility. And so I can be like, oh, hey Greta, like I worked with you, like I know you from before. So for me to call and talk to her is a lot easier because I already had you keep track of people, whether it's using LinkedIn or now with like Workday, you can keep track of people. You're like, oh, well, like where is so-and-so who I worked with 5 years ago? Like, what are they doing now? And you're like, oh, they're actually doing something that's related to what I'm doing now. Even if it's different, you'll find people. So that can get you an in, right? Like if you can be like, oh, I want to learn more about this business. You look, okay, who do I know who maybe wasn't there before, but who's there now? And you can go say, hey, like, remember we worked on this project briefly 5 years ago, whether it was with an ERG or whether it was with a technical project. And that can be a way, and now I'm interested in hearing about what you're doing now. And you can also make it personally, like, hey, how's your family? I remember, your kid was in dance or whatever. And then, and find out about what they're doing now, but then also use it as a way to keep connected and to learn about something that you're interested in.
Fantastic, thank you. So we talked a little bit about sponsors.
There's no question.
Oh, there is a question, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I started at Dow about 10 years ago, we had a very bimodal population of people. Like you had a huge population of people who had been at Dow less than 5 years, and you had a huge population that had been at Dow for over 25 years. So when I started, and I think now that I'm a leader, I see a lot of the cohort that I've started with are in this boat where their mentors have retired. And they're struggling with identifying because they're kind of getting close to that mid-career point. And they're doing some mentoring, but they're struggling in making those connections back higher up because that they just don't have the network into the people who are now leading those organizations where maybe they were networked. Do you have recommendations, especially for kind of those mid-career scientists, of how to make those connections, reestablish connections to find mentors in kind of the mid-career space?
So I'm mid-career because I'm in my 36th year. That's mid-career, right? Do you have mentors retiring? Yeah. Some of them 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's constantly, it's the constant change for someone in the prime part of the ERG spectrum. And I think you just have to keep working at it. So, I know at this point how it's helped me. And so I can take that on and think about, so who's going into the roles now? Yeah, okay, they're all younger than me, but so what? They can still be a mentor for me. But I can also look at it as, where am I and who should I be a mentor to, right? So it can go both ways. And everybody that I mentor is teaching me really important stuff. And so you can look at it in the bilateral way. And I think where you can find other people when you mid-career, you're involved with different levels of activities, right? So that the networking that you're doing, the people you're exposed to is different than it was when you walked in the door. And so you just have to look around and be, I'd say, intentional about it and rather than haphazard.
And I think peer mentorship is really important. I think a mentor
Mm.
doesn't always have to be someone more experienced than you or,
Yeah.
higher level than you, like having peer mentors, as a leader, I find it really helpful to have other leaders so I can call and just be like, hey, have you, ever had a situation like this, or how would you approach this? So I think having peer mentors is really good. And to my point earlier, right, as your career progresses, other people do too. So people who are your peers now, they might, maybe they're on a fast track career wise. And so, or someone who was your peer when you first started, like maybe now they're doing something great. So keeping those kind of relationships is good, because then, you already have that connection with some of that common interest with somebody, right, that you can still, reach out to them and have that connection, so that, building those peer relationships now can then ultimately, as you both continue progressing in your career, can end up turning into a sponsorship type of, or a higher level mentorship. And somebody can mentor you, especially if they're in a different business. They know, everybody knows different things and have a different career path. So you can definitely, or they may just have experienced something that you haven't. So peer mentorship, I think, is really important, and it's sometimes less intimidating than, trying to, talk to somebody who's got 20 years more experience than you.
Got a question online. So the question is, what advice would you give to those who don't necessarily have the support of their leader in growing their career? For example, I've been in the past, that I've seen in the past that employees is a rock star on the team, but leader doesn't want to have them leave the team because, or something detrimental overall. I guess, what would you do in the situation, trying to retranslate this, where you may have a roadblock in your career, whether that's a leader or somebody else? How would you try to navigate around that to help keep your self-promotion?
So ask yourself, are you happy doing what you're doing? If you're happy, don't run away from it towards something. Keep at it till you reach your frustration level, and then go find yourself something better. That would be my philosophy.
Yeah.
I've gone through that. So
Sure.
that's with experience that I'm talking about.
And I think you can think about the word "and" instead of the word "or."
Right.
So what can I do if I'm liking what I'm doing and I feel like I'd like to move on, but I really need to stay where I am? What else can I add? Where can I grow so that I feel that I'm moving forward, that I'm learning, that I'm growing and expanding and developing, right? It's not always, there's many ways to develop yourself. We learn this in the EDP classes, right? There's a sabbatical, there's just adding more responsibilities. There's the joining an ERG on the site implementation team. There's various ways to do more without leaving where you are. Think about that.
Yes, question in the room.
Question to that, right? And I want to believe that there's no single person who is owning your career but yourself, right? So if you find yourself in a place where there is a manager or somebody who is not promoting you or not wanting to be, I think there are some actions that you can take, right, to get out of it. In addition to, sometimes the position that is yes, but have you experienced something, or can you provide some tactics that would help you have navigated a place where you found yourself here, but you were able to also get yourself out of it?
This is going to be tricky, but I'm going to share my personal story. I was in a similar situation. I prioritized what was important for me at that time. My daughter was in high school. And so quitting was not a way out for me, because my priority was to focus on her. But at the same time, I enjoyed what I did. So I focused on my work and had fun. Because I didn't want to be frustrated, because you can imagine if you're frustrated, you take that home and you can't throw it on a teenager, right? So I was at the weekend or the hard part of the bargain. So that's what I did. And one thing I told myself was, I'm not running away from here. I'm going to run towards something what is better. And if something better came, that's what I would do. So I focused on the positive. And another thing that I did is I stopped comparing myself with folks around me. That really frustrates you. When you see people, your peers moving up and you're not moving, that frustrates you. And I tell this to my mentor, most of my mentees, is that there's a plot in life. Everybody has to reach that point at some time. But the path you take, some take a straight line and they reach there quickly. You might take a longer path to get there, but you will get there too, if that's the right point for you to be there. So stay focused. And Sean says this is that happiness factor. That's key. It's your life, right? If you stay frustrated and you have a heart attack and you die tomorrow, what's the use of it? Right? What's that? Right?
Know your definition of success for yourself.
Exactly.
If it's to be CEO, most of us are going to be truly disappointed. But how do you define success for your whole life? Think about that.
So prioritize what you want to do, how you want to do it, but be happy.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so there's another question in the chat. What are the strategies employees can use to have these honest conversations with them about career paths with leaders, in particular those that are outside of the traditional R&D trajectory, without being branded with a preconceived notion, leading towards closed doors? You know, so yeah, you don't want to necessarily be branded about something, but you want to have a conversation, how to navigate that.
It's an exploration. Right? So you're trying to learn more and you're trying to explore different opportunities and learn, I'd say learn more about the company and how you can connect and how things work together. And it doesn't have to be, I'm only talking to you because I want a job. So one of my friends used to call it a vision quest. It doesn't always have to be that I'm just here for one particular output. And you know, quite frankly, as a leader, once somebody's decided they want to leave the group and do something else, I help them do that. Because that's going to be the best thing for Dow. Right? They're going to be happier when they're doing something else. They've learned what they're going to learn in that role and they're ready to move. Help them do that. You know, that's a leadership quality.
And EDP is not a static document, I think is something that's important. I think I'm definitely somebody who has that kind of that FOMO, the fear of missing out of like, oh, like, I don't want to like say I want to do this and then like, you know, nothing else. Yeah, I can't do anything else. So I think having an ongoing conversation, like you shouldn't just have a once every 5 years conversation with your leader about your EDP. It should be as it goes on. And if something else new comes up that interests you or something changes in your life, you know, maybe like, oh yeah, like I would have, you know, loved to go have an international assignment, but I have 2 kids under 5 and now is not a great time in my life for doing an international assignment. So it can be, or maybe it is, I don't know. It depends on who you talk to, right? Or who, you know, how you feel personally, right? But you can do, you know, so you can have those, it can and should change over time. If you had asked me, you know, I guess in 2018, I guess now you're like, I was in manufacturing, I was a run play engineer, like, would you be interested in R&D? I'd be like, I don't know, I haven't ever really thought about it, right? And then the opportunity came up and I've been here for 5 years and it's been great. So it can definitely, it doesn't have to be, you know, your first day in the company or 10 years in the company, like it's always evolving as you meet new people and learn new things and be like, oh, I didn't even know that you know job existed within the company. That's really interesting, you know. So I think it there's always like a fear of getting pigeonholed, but I think that Dow as a company, from what I've seen, is a very flexible place and that they really, most people support. There's, you know, there's always, you know, maybe leaders who don't or things who don't, but I think that if you keep your ear out, keep open for opportunities for what different things are and explore them, to use Carolyn's word for how things are, and have that conversation ongoing, and don't think that you have to make a decision, you know, one time, or that if you told your leader one thing, you can't go back and say, actually, like I did network, I talked to some people, I learned more about it. I don't think that's really the direction I want to go anymore. So you can definitely, you know, go back and update and change things as you learn more information.
Good to know people could change their minds.
Yeah, I change my mind all the time. So, and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up still, right? Like, I don't know where I'm going to be 10 years in my career, 10 years more, but.
I want to be wise.
Wise, that's good. Oh, I like that.
Awesome, thank you.
It's kind of a follow-up on that question, like early career, I've been here less than a year. Like, it feels like for me, it's too early to be like, oh, I want to try that, or I want, like, I haven't been here long enough to feel like I can have that discussion. Like, at what point in your career is that like, should you really start thinking about like kind of trying to push for opportunities? Because you don't want to sound like you just want to jump ship immediately and like go do something else, even though you just started.
I don't think it's too early for you to start asking questions, right? And trying to understand what your next move should be. I mean, generally, you want to make a move somewhere after 2 or 3 years in your current role so that you can learn enough in the role to be contributing value before you move on, right? But I don't think it's too early for you to start asking those questions about what would be my next step and trying to form that for you. You know, depending on the economy, the movements might not happen for another year anyway, right?
Yep.
You know, based off our most recent announcements. So it's good to start asking those questions early and trying to, especially at a year, I don't know, you could have 3 or 5 different opportunities and you need to start narrowing that scope so that you can build the skills you need to be able to step into that next role.
So Dow needs depth and breadth. Right? We do need people who stay in one technology for a long time and build that deep subject matter expertise, and we value that. And we also value people who move around and have experience in a number of different places and connect all those experiences. So there's different ways to do that. But you could start thinking about what energizes me and what de-energizes me. And thinking about that as a framework for what kind of opportunities would I enjoy. Because at this point, maybe you don't know what you don't know.
And there's so much out there, right? Within Dell, there's so many different functions and so many different technologies that you know, I'll scroll the job board on Workday. I mean, that's how I found the job. That's how I ended up being in R&D. Like I, you know, didn't know at all about the pilot plants organization or the process R&D. And when I was just scrolling the job board, and I was like, oh, hey, this sounds interesting. And so looking at that, I can see, oh, like I didn't know that this type of job or role, you know, existed. And then you can reach out to that person and be like, hey, like maybe I'm not interested in applying to this role right now, but I want to learn more about your organization or what kind of things are there. Or you can ask your leader, you know, say, hey, like I saw this kind of thing, like what kind of things would I need to do to be prepared to take a role like that or to learn more about that. So yeah, on Friday afternoon, you know, you go scroll and see what's out there. And it can be a way of kind of exposing you, especially when you're very early in your career, exposing you to some of the different parts of the company or different things that are out there.
So maybe if we talked a little bit about sponsors and mentors and owning our own visibility, when it comes to recognition and applying for awards, what role should each of these different people play? And should you wait to be nominated, or should one actually go ahead and look for an award that fits their profile? Maybe we can start with you, Aida.
Sure, yeah. So to address your question directly, I think from the leadership perspective, we actually have 2 ways. One is like a top down. And in our company, the CTO office always gets some call for nominations. So it's kind of news from different society, different externally. So then the leaders distribute those news opportunities to the first level leaders, and then the leadership identifies some technologies, some teams, some individual employees to nominate them for those awards. But meanwhile, we also welcome the individual people and also look at some opportunities that you identified, you are interested, you think your background fit in that award a lot. So we welcome those voices and also bring those news opportunity to your leaders, fellows, mentors, etc., and ask if it's whether we can move forward. We actually welcome and want to encourage everyone to do that, because sometimes the top down opportunity is kind of limited. We don't know all the information, but if each of you know that, eventually we want the employee become better, the company become better. The actual award, no matter for the technology award or individual award, that will also grow our employee, but meanwhile also make our DAO company have a very good image external. So I think
Yeah.
the two way, we encourage everyone to do that.
We see on the homepage of the Dow Internet all the time about people getting awards. It's because Dow is very proud of our technical community, and the awards are one way to signal that.
Yes.
So if anybody ever comes to you and says, I really like what you've been doing, and I think you should nominate yourself I'd like to help you nominate yourself for this award. You want to be ready for that. And yes, I did win a Society for Women Engineer award. And when the tech center director came to me and said, Carolyn, we think you should apply for this award from Society of Women Engineers, my inner critic first said, I can't win this. I'm not even an engineer, right? Shouldn't that be part of it? And then I kind of started thinking about, well, I've done some things more in manufacturing space, and with apologies to the engineers in the room, that's kind of engineering space more than chemistry. So I figured out a way to tell a story and where my gut had taken me along that way. And, this person did not get to be a tech center director because they made bad decisions. So when someone in leadership comes and asks you about that, zip up that inner critic and say, let's talk about this and how it can happen. I also think it's really important for Dow people to be involved in award selection and awards juries, because that's when you learn what makes a good award package. So find out ways to be involved with that.
Actually for Triple I last year, we have a very impressive years for our global Triple I team, won a lot of technology award, individual award. I would say for probably half of the individual award, actually the employee, they speak up. They let us know, oh, there's an opportunity. Then the leaders, fellows, we help them to move forward. But initially, the individual employee initiate that. And we also want to set up that culture. Everybody, if you identify opportunity to speak up, let us know. We will be very, very happy to sponsor, to support, and do something to help you grow.
And if I could just put in a shameless plug, since I'm on the steering team for the Tech Center and Seed Awards internally here in Dow. Those are team-based awards primarily, of excellent projects that we've done either on sustainability or that have made, great technology advancements for the company that also happen to have a large dollar value on them. So we'll be opening that in February for nominations. And so even if you struggle to nominate yourself for an award, think about the teams you've been on and the excellent work that y'all have been able to accomplish, and see if some of those team-based awards will also fit for recognition as well.
And I'm gonna put in a plug too for allyship of your peers as well. Like, it doesn't just have to come, because sometimes it is hard to nominate yourself, but sometimes you see something, you say, hey, you know what? I know Bindu would be really great for this award. I'm gonna shoot Bindu an email, be like, hey, Bindu, did you know that these awards exist? I think you would be a really great candidate. And you can do that for your peers or other people, if there's other project teams that because it's hard to keep track of everything, right? There's a lot of things going on. So send the note and say like, hey, I think this project that you worked on would be really great for this award. You should consider it. Or I think, you've been a great mentor to me, and I think that you would be great for this mentoring recognition award. And so doing that is, I think, a great way to show allyship and support of your peers and other people in the company as well.
So thank you so much. So I think the last question we're going to wrap up with is kind of any other pearls of wisdom that you would like to leave the audience with. Any other comments that you would like to give? So
Go have fun.
with that, I think that concludes our questions, unless there's any other comments. Thanks, everybody. There's lots of comments online that the panelists probably can go take a look at. You're quoted, Bindu.
So you'll send us a link to that, right? Because we didn't log into Teams, so we're not on
We'll have a
that.
recap and I can send that to
There
you.
you go. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Please sign in if you haven't already. That's good.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.